What is going on, everybody? I am Michael Leegan, your New York Jets beat reporter for a WFUV, and welcome in to another edition of 10 Minutes After Touchdown, a recap reaction show we do after every Jets home game here on the WFUV Sports YouTube channel. And last week, we did not have a show because I did not cover the game. I let our colleague Nicholas DeLuca, a big Buffalo Bills fan, have a chance to see his favorite team in action. So I was not in MetLife. He was. Appreciate Nick covering that game. But I was back on Sunday, and unfortunately, it was a tough one, as many Jet fans can attest to. The New York Jets fell to the Miami Dolphins 24-17, dropping to 2-8 on the year. And at this point, there really is not much else you can say about this team. If you've listened to any editions of NFL Friday one-on-one, you've watched an edition of this show, you know that the Jets have struggled this year mightily at times, and it's just been a trend now for the last few games, especially. And while they didn't give up 40-plus points, as they have been doing, this was just another poor performance across the board, defense, offense, etc. And there's really not much you can say other than the fact that this team is not executing. The offense is not up to snuff. The defense is not playing well enough. And there's just so many missed opportunities, penalties, poor decision making from the quarterback position, poor decision making on the defensive side of the ball. This is just a bad football team. And as Bill Parcells would say, you are what your record says you are. And the New York Jets have 2 wins. And there's a reason why. They're not a very good football team. So let's dive into the game action and let's see what kind of went wrong in this game for the New York Jets. So the Jets would actually win the coin toss and they deferred. So, the Jets defense starts on the field for New York. Miami would start with the ball. And once again, in the words of Bart Scott, this New York Jets defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. A combination of penalties, poor tackling. They got close to a couple of times, but no sack. After the game, defensive lineman Jonathan Franklin Myers said that they were getting to Tua. He was just throwing up prayers, and sometimes God answers them. Well, I don't really know if that's such a valid excuse. The bottom line is Tua was throwing the ball up a lot, and whether or not they were prayers, the simple fact of the matter is they were finding the hands of Miami receivers. So this opening drive for the Dolphins would be capped off by a Miami touchdown in which they lined up in the Wildcat, ended up handing the ball off to Jalen Waddle, who would easily run it in for a score. The Dolphins would go up 7-0 on the opening drive. And here we are early in the first quarter, and the New York Jets, which has been a trend all season long, are already trailing. So the Jets would get the ball for themselves after the Miami touchdown, and they would punt on their first possession. So really nothing to speak of, no real highlight play from Joe Flacco. So the Dolphins get the ball back, their second possession of the game. But on the first play of the drive, Tua would overthrow his intended receiver. It was intercepted by safety Ashton Davis, the first interception of his career. Of course, the much maligned Ashton Davis has struggled at times this year, a draft pick from last year's draft. Just frankly hasn't really performed up to his status. He's also dealt with injuries, but hey, good for him. A nice pick there. So the Jets would actually capitalize on the interception. The first play from scrimmage was a huge run by Michael Carter. They were set up at the Miami 40. This run would go for 39 yards. So they get the ball all the way down to the Miami 1-yard line, and Joe Flacco would end up finding a Jamison Crowder in the end zone. And here we are, tied at 7 with 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. So after that, that would actually be the last scoring play, of the first half. Both teams would have chances at field goals to take the lead, but both kickers, Amendola for the Jets and Sanders for Miami, would hit the uprights. So we would go into halftime tied at 7, no more scoring for the first half after that Joe Flacco touchdown pass. So the Jets would get the ball to start the second half, and another poor offensive series for the New York Jets. They are forced to punt once again. And then after Miami got the ball back, they would take the lead. Tua would find tight end Mike Gesicki far down the field, a 65-yard touchdown pass. Of course, I mentioned Ashton Davis before, how he's been struggling. Well, despite that interception, which was a highlight for him, he was late coming over in coverage, and Miami capitalized. So after the Dolphins' point after attempt, they would go up 14-7 with a 9:06 to go in the third quarter. So here we are. The Jets are trailing once again. And after getting the ball back, the Jets would move into Dolphins territory. But another missed field goal by Matt Amendola with under 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. The Dolphins would get the ball back themselves. They would punt. And then the play of the day came on the Jets' next possession here in the third quarter. Elijah Moore, Joe Flacco would find him in the middle of the field. He would run a very crisp route, make a defender miss, going 60-plus yards to the house. Elijah Moore, an amazing day. We'll get to his stat line in just a little bit. But with 3 minutes left in the third quarter, following a successful point after attempt by the Jets, we were tied at 14. Again, huge play by Elijah Moore. He's really been coming on strong as of late. So Miami would actually respond with a touchdown of their own. It would be Tua to Myles Gaskin, a 5-yard touchdown pass. The Jets actually managed to make a red zone stop on this Miami drive. It was third down. They stopped the Dolphins, but Jonathan Franklin Myers was called for a roughing the passer penalty, just a boneheaded decision. We know that the roughing the passer has been called more tightly, obviously, in recent years, but this was pretty blatant. And this roughing the passer would make it 1st and goal, and Miami would not waste the second opportunity. They would get that touchdown that I mentioned previously, Myles Gaskin for 5 yards. So with 10 minutes to go in the game in the fourth quarter, this drive Miami began at the end of the third, continued into the fourth. Miami, the Dolphins would take a 21-14 lead early in the fourth quarter. And, to this Jonathan Franklin Myers roughing the passer penalty after the game, Coach Saleh said that was unacceptable. We'll hear a audio clip from Coach Saleh, in just a second. So the Jets would be forced to punt, on their ensuing possession. And then the Dolphins would get the ball back and they would chew up the clock here in the fourth quarter, a 12-play, 45-yard drive. Nothing crazy, obviously. It's not going to blow you out of the water, but it took up 6 minutes and 53 seconds and it ended in a Miami field goal. So here we are, fourth quarter. The Jets are trailing 24-14, and we're under 2 minutes to go in the game. Now you would think, hey, crazier things have happened. Maybe we can get down the field, a touchdown, an onside kick, etc. But what really hurt the Jets was, even though it would have been hard enough as it was, they had to burn 2 timeouts really haphazardly in the second half, one coming after a penalty moved the Jets down the field. So really no excuse for the Jets not to be prepared. So just some poor clock management in this game for New York as well. So here we are, like I said, 24-14, under 2 minutes to go in the game. And New York, they would get a garbage time field goal. They would fail an onside kick. And that would be all she wrote. 24-17, the New York Jets fall to the Miami Dolphins, dropping to 2-8 on the season. Nothing really crazy from this game. No real, crazy. I mentioned the Elijah Moore play, but again, it's just this team is very, I don't want to say mediocre, but they just continue to miss opportunities. They continue to put a poor product on the field. And for the sake of Jet fans, we have to hope that stops sometime soon. And this turnaround, this rebuild can really show some progress. But in a day of negativity, before we hear from Coach Saleh, let's talk about one positive, and that's rookie Elijah Moore. 8 receptions for 141 yards, a touchdown. He now has 4 touchdowns in his last 3 games. His performance against the Dolphins on Sunday was the most receiving yards by a Jets rookie, wide receiver in a game since Rob Moore against New England in 1990. So again, Elijah Moore, that's a big positive to see him turning it on. I mentioned Michael Carter. He had another big day as well. Unfortunately, he had to leave early due to an ankle injury. Hopefully he's okay. And also another good day for Elijah Vera-Tucker, another one of the rookies. Very solid day on the offensive line, creating some holes in the running game, doing well in the pass protection. So there are 3 rookies right there: Elijah Moore, Elijah Vera-Tucker, and then Michael Carter, who give you some hope on the offensive side of the ball. But now let's hear from Coach Robert Saleh as he discusses Sunday's loss against Miami.
I tell you guys all the time, whether you lose by 1 or 50, that freaking matter. This one we lost.
So Coach Saleh, not mincing words there, putting it in plain English. And honestly, I appreciate it. He's right. At the end of the day, what does it matter if you lose by 40 or you lose by 1 score? A loss is a loss. And unfortunately for this Jets team, they've had too many of them this year, and they've had too many of them in recent memory. So let's look ahead real briefly to next week. The Jets will be in Houston taking on the Texans. Of course, the Houston Texans just had a huge upset win over the Tennessee Titans this past Sunday, winning 22-13. Both of these teams, Texans and Jets, are 2-win teams, not very good at the bottom of the league, if you will. So who knows what's going to happen? In theory, it's a winnable game for the Jets, but hey, this Texans team coming off a big win, who knows if that gives them some momentum. The thing to watch in this game, assuming he's healthy and ready to go, which signs seem to be trending in that direction. So my gut tells me he'll start, but we don't know just yet. But look out for Zach Wilson. This should be his return game. And frankly, the question is he healthy? Is he ready to go? But more importantly, has his time on the sideline helped him gain a better understanding of this offense? Has it helped him gain a better understanding of what he needs to do as a quarterback? And are we going to see some improvement? Of course, we all remember when Sam Darnold got hurt his rookie year. And of course, Sam has obviously turned out to be not somewhat of a bust in this league, but it's undeniable. In Sam's rookie year, when he sat out due to injury and came back, he played some of the best football of his rookie year and frankly of his career. So let's see if the same thing can happen for Zach next week. So that is going to do it for us on 10 minutes after touchdown. Thank you for joining us. This was a production of WFUV Sports.